Morning everybody. Day 72 today, 720 kilometers in, and I find that this time of the year my chest closes in a bit, just change of season. But what I found is more so, especially on the trails, so I do have a little pump that I use, and I forgot to take it this morning, so I'm a little bit out of breath, but otherwise doing okay. Had to walk most of it today, but that's all right. Been a very beautiful walk, and yeah, really amazing. And I think the one thing that I was encouraged to do when starting this 1,000-kilometer journey was to be vulnerable and to show people how real you really are. And I think in the world we live in, many a times we're forced to wear masks, even at church, you know. One of the famous statements that I love at church is people walk in on a Sunday, music playing in the background, everyone's seemingly jovial and happy. Well, I guess there's two extremes, and I'll share the other extreme now. And someone comes up, shakes your hand, how's it going? You had a good week? Yeah, good week, thanks. And how are you doing today? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Meanwhile, you're broken inside and you're not fine. And then the other extreme is you get the Doras. I'm just saying Dora because I don't know any Doras. So I'm not reflecting this on anybody, who constantly complain and life has no joy. So I guess you get the two extremes, and that's human nature. But when looking at vulnerability and looking at people being real and broken, I think we can look at Paul's life. And we read in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and I'd encourage you to read the whole passage because I'm just going to be taking bits and bobs from the whole passage. But you know, he says, if anybody deserves to boast about their servanthood for Christ, it's me. You know, he says, I was beaten 3 times, I was once stoned, I know what it's like to be cold, I know what it's like to be hungry, I know what it's like to be thirsty. He says, I spent a whole day and a whole night in the open sea, I've been shipwrecked 3 times. I mean, you read through that, he even talks about his inner desires, his burning desires. And you read through that and you think to yourself, man, oh man, this man has been through the war. And yet he says, but yet still I won't boast, you know. Even though I'm a servant for Christ, I still long for the churches. I still long for God's people. And so I think what I really enjoy about that is he knows, Paul knows, if anybody knows what it's like to suffer, he does. And he speaks about his suffering so candidly and so openly. Yet he will not boast. And in other places in scripture, and I'll probably share a devotion on this, it says, he says, when I'm weak, then I'm strong. And we can share about that another time. But he knows that he does this all for the surpassing worth of knowing who Jesus Christ is. And he says it's worth it. I think if you were to ask him, Paul, would you do it all again? He would probably say, absolutely. And so what an incredible passage. I'd really encourage you to read through it and to see what Paul went through for the gospel. It's actually quite profound. Well, I pray, even in the midst of your challenges, even in the midst of having to be a good and godly person in maybe a dark and dreary work environment, or having to be the light in a school where you're afraid to be criticized for knowing Jesus, or in a university, consider Paul and what he went through. May God bless you all today, and I pray you have a great day.